And joining me now is former Israeli government spokesman Eylon Levy. Eylon, great to see you again. Look, I mean,
Hello, Sharri.
in a way, these comments are obvious. We always complain that, the PR, the propaganda is stacked against Israel. But is he right that there is now this pressure, even from the US, to finish the war?
I think President Trump is absolutely right that Israel is on the receiving end of a vicious propaganda campaign that is intended to end the war that Hamas started, with Hamas still in power in Gaza, preparing for the next October 7th massacre and still holding hostages. We know that has been Hamas's goal since it started the war that dreadful day. And it's why we're seeing every day non-stop fake accusations against Israel, redefining terms when Israel is fighting a just war justly to bring back the hostages, to make sure that Hamas can never take hostages ever again, and to put the Middle East on a better footing towards peace. But for that to happen, Hamas has to go.
There does seem to be debate about the best way to end the war and how long this is going to take. Reports about, Trump's post-war Gaza plan, which could see Gaza under US control for the next decade. Have you heard any other details about this or what the Israeli side is thinking?
There are many plans doing the round for the day after the war, but we have to understand the day after the war means the day after Hamas. None of the reconstruction plans are feasible at all if Hamas is still in power, because as long as Hamas is still armed and dangerous in Gaza, the reconstruction of Gaza means the reconstruction of Hamas. And any concrete that goes in to build people's houses will go into the network of military tunnels underneath people's houses. And it means whoever wants to speed up the day after and rebuild Gaza peacefully has to work with Israel in removing the Hamas regime as quickly as possible and making sure that it releases all of the hostages. Or else rebuilding Gaza just means rebuilding it as a launch pad for another war against Israel. And we don't want that.
We've seen a lot of mainstream media attention on Greta Thunberg and her flotilla. Well, you wouldn't have seen it, Eylon, but at the start of the show tonight, I exposed how one of the key organisers and others are actually supporters of Hezbollah and attended Hassan Nasrallah's funeral. Does this surprise you?
Sharri, of course I watched it. I watched your show. No, it doesn't surprise me that supporters of Hamas and Hezbollah are trying to score propaganda victories for it around the world. That's what they've been trying to do since the very beginning. The organization that is trying to get Israeli soldiers arrested around the world on trumped-up charges of war crimes. Also another supporter of Hezbollah. That has been documented. This flotilla isn't trying to get humanitarian aid into Gaza, right? What are they carrying? A few sacks of flour and tampons? If they want aid to get into Gaza, it can go through the hundreds of trucks that are entering Gaza every day, or airdrops as part of the international coalition that Israel is spearheading to airdrop aid into Gaza. Instead, it's a publicity stunt, a stunt that is meant to give the false impression that Israel isn't letting aid into Gaza, when what we're seeing now is the biggest operation in military history to get aid into enemy territory. I mean, just today, Israel announced it's opening a new electricity line to a desalination plant in Gaza. Can you think of another example where the side that was attacked in a war is supplying electricity into enemy-held territory? I can't. But unfortunately, the anti-Israel side will stop at nothing to try to manipulate the emotions of people in the West to get them to pressure Israel to end this war with Hamas still in power and the hostages still trapped in Gaza. And that will not happen. This war will only end when Hamas is out of power and the hostages are out of Gaza.
We've only got 30 seconds, but does that mean you do support the current military campaign in Gaza City?
There is a very painful debate in Israel now about whether we should pay a ransom to get half of the hostages out and then try to negotiate the release of the rest of them, or whether Israel should press its military advantage to get Hamas to release all of them and relinquish power. I think there's fear in Israel that if we...
Yeah, we're out of time, Eylon, but it is a fierce debate and no easy answers there at all. Thank you for joining us, Eylon.